Hello everyone. How are things coming along? Hope you all are studying well. Okay. Do you like humor? Yes will be your answer. Right? Today we can learn one story of Vaikom Muhammed Basheer, the snake and the mirror. Vaikom Muhammed Basheer, fondly known as Beppu Sultan, was an Indian independence activist and writer of Malayalam literature. He was a writer, humanist, freedom fighter, novelist and short story writer. We all know about him. Noted for his path-breaking, down-to-earth style of writing that made him equally popular among literary critics as well as the common man. His notable works include Baligalasagi, Shabdangal, Pathumede Ada, Madilugal, etc. Okay, and the translations of his works into other languages have earned him worldwide acclaim. The government of India awarded him the fourth highest civilian honor of the Padma Shri in 1982. This is something all about him. Then we can watch one video. Then you will get an idea of that story. Okay?
About the author.
The present story, The Snake and the Mirror, is written by Mr. Vaikom Muhammed Basheer. Let us know more about him. Vaikom Muhammed Basheer, 21st January 1908 to 5th July 1994, was a Malayalam fiction writer from the state of Kerala in India. He was a humanist, freedom fighter, novelist, and a short story writer. He is noted for his down-to-earth style of writing that made him equally popular among literary critics as well as the common man. He is regarded as one of the most successful and outstanding writers from India. Translations of his works into other languages have won him worldwide acclaim. The story, The Snake and the Mirror, is an English translation of his story. His notable works include Balya Kala Sakshi, Shabdangal, Matilukal, and Anarga Nimisham. He was awarded the Padma Shri in 1982. He is fondly remembered as the Beppu Sultan. Let us now enter into the tale, The Snake and the Mirror. This story is the description of a doctor's experience when he encountered a snake. The doctor, who is a homeopath, asked his fellows, "Have you ever had a full-blooded cobra coiled itself around any part of your body?" The doctor had such a dreadful, terrible experience once and started narrating his experience. "Those were the days when I was practicing my medicine. It was a hot summer night about 10 o'clock. I returned to my room after having my meal in a restaurant. Suddenly, I heard some noise outside and opened the door to see what it was. There was nothing outside. As I had just started my medical practice and my earnings were meager, I stayed in a small rented room which was not even electrified. Looking at my room, one could say that the rats and I were sharing the room. I had only 60 rupees in my suitcase, apart from a few shirts and dhotis. Beside all these, I also possessed a solitary black coat. I took out the box of matches and lit the kerosene lamp on the table. I took off my black coat, shirt, and not so white vest and hung them on the wall. The room had a tiled roof with long supporting gables that rested on the beam over the wall. The rats used to run frequently over the beams. I made my bed, pulled it close to the wall and lied on the bed. As I couldn't sleep, I went out to the veranda for some fresh air, but the air seemed to be on a time off. I returned to the room, sat on the chair in front of a mirror. I took out the book, the Materia Medica, from the box beneath the table. I started reading the book at the table on which the lamp, a big mirror, and a comb were present. I was very tempted to look into the mirror just like the others. I was a great admirer of beauty and always believed that I looked handsome those days. As I was a bachelor and a doctor, I made sure that my presence was felt. I picked up the comb, ran it through my hair and adjusted the parting so that it was straight and neat. I heard the sound again from above, but didn't pay much attention to it. I looked at my face close in the mirror and made an important decision that I would shave daily and grow a thin mustache so as to look more handsome. With the decision, a smile bloomed on my face. Then I made another lovely decision that I would carry that lovely smile on my face forever to look more handsome. The same noise came from above again. I stood up, lit a beedi and started walking up and down the room. All of a sudden, another lovely thought popped up in my mind. It was, I would get married to a woman doctor who had plenty of money and good medical practice. She must be fat. I applied a condition to the thought for a valid reason. If I made a silly mistake and had to run, she must not be thin enough to chase and catch me. With those thoughts in my mind, I came back to my chair which was in front of the mirror. There were no more noises from above. Suddenly, there came a dull thud-like sound as if a rubber tube fell on the ground. I was sure that there was nothing to worry about. Thought of turning around and taking a look at what fell from above. No sooner had I turned to take a look, I observed a fat snake wriggled over the back of the chair I was sitting on and landed on my shoulder. The landing of snake and I turned to take a look took place simultaneously. I neither jumped, trembled nor cried out. I had no time to do any such things. The snake slithered along my shoulder and coiled around my left arm above the elbow. The widespread hood of the snake was not more than 3 or 4 inches from my face. I sat there holding my breath. In fact, I was turned to stone, but my mind was very active. The room I was sitting in was very dark except for the light of the kerosene lamp. Then I realized the presence of God, the creator of this world and this universe. God was there. Suppose I said something and he didn't like it. I silently thanked the God in my heart and imagined writing the words, "Oh God," in bright letters outside my little heart. My left arm started to pain. It was like a thick leaden rod, no, a rod of molten fire, was slowly but powerfully crushing my arm. The strength of my arm was getting drained. What could I do? Any slightest movement of mine would result in the strike of the snake. I felt like death lurked 4 inches away from me. Then a question popped up in my mind. What medicine should I take if it bites me? Unfortunately, I did not have any medicines in the room. That moment, I thought myself that I was a poor, foolish and stupid doctor. I smiled feebly at myself, forgetting that my life was at stake. It seemed as if God appreciated that. The snake turned its head, looked into the mirror and saw its reflection. The snake was looking into the mirror. Though it was not the first snake that had looked into a mirror, but it was confirmed that the snake was looking into the mirror. I felt it was admiring its own beauty. Was it trying to make an important decision about growing a mustache or using eyeshadow and mascara or wearing a vermilion spot on its forehead? I didn't know anything for certain. What sex was the snake? Was it a male or female? I would never know, for the snake unwound itself from my arm, slowly slithered into my lap, and then crept onto the table. Perhaps it wanted to enjoy its beauty from a closer view. I was turned into a man of flesh and blood from the granite image. Still, I stood silently holding my breath and quietly reached the veranda. From there, I leapt into the yard and ran for all I was worth. Everybody, listening to his story, heaved a sigh of relief. Then one of the persons asked, "Doctor, is your wife fat?" The doctor replied, "No. The God had planned it otherwise. My wife is a thin, ruddy person blessed with the gift of a sprinter." Another person asked, "Doctor, did the snake follow you?" The doctor replied, "I ran and ran till I reached my friend's house. I immediately smeared oil all over my body and took a bath. I changed into fresh clothes. The next morning, around 8:30, I went to my room along with my friend, along with a few others, to pack my luggage and get shifted. Before we arrived there, some thief had removed almost all my belongings, but the thief had left one last thing as an insult." Another person asked anxiously, "What was that?" The doctor said, "My dirty vest. That fellow had such a sense of cleanliness, he could have washed it with soap and water and used it." There came out another question. "Doctor, did you see the snake the next day?" The doctor replied, "I hadn't seen it from then. It was a snake taken with its own beauty."
Glossary. The meanings of certain words along with their usage.
A man of flesh and blood. Admirer. Full-blooded. Gable. Hood. Hung. I was no image cut in granite. Lurk. Mascara. Meager. Molten. Parting. Reedy. Slithered. Solitary. Sprinter. Taken with. Thud. Tremble. Vermilion. West. Wriggled. Identify if the given statements convey that the doctor was afraid of the snake by clicking yes or no. Click Submit to view the answers. Read the following sentences carefully. Drag and drop the word which suits the group of words given in the brackets and click the Submit button to verify the answers.
Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed the video. Then we can move in detail about the chapter. Who is the protagonist of the chapter? Yes, a homeopathic doctor. This is a story about a homeopathic doctor during his earlier career days. The narrator of this story is the doctor himself, where he narrates the story to some friends. In this story, the doctor tells us that he lived in a small rented room during that time. Furthermore, the tiles of the room were supported by gables, which in turn were supported by the beam. Moreover, rats were roaming all around the room, and there was no electric supply, hence the room was in a dire state. In the doctor's story, it was the summer season going on, and it was night. The doctor came back to his room after finishing his meal at a restaurant. The room was certainly dark due to lack of electricity. As such, the doctor made use of kerosene lamp to lighten up his room. The doctor also took off his coat and shirt. There were 2 windows in the room that were opened by him. After sitting on a chair, the doctor took a medical book to read. On the table, there was a large mirror and a lamp. You noticed that in the video, right? Yes. Due to immense summer heat, it was too hot for the doctor to sleep. So he began to gaze in the mirror and became lost in admiring himself. A desire came in him to look more presentable. Gradually, there was a shifting of his thoughts from self-admiration to future marriage. The doctor thought of marrying a rich doctor who was rich and fat. The doctor didn't pay much attention to the sudden silence, and the scampering from the rats came to a halt. Furthermore, there was a sound of something falling, but the doctor was slow to react. By the time he had a look, there was a snake wriggling on the back of the chair. Soon the snake coiled on the left arm of the doctor. The snake was merely inches away from his face. Consequently, the doctor went into a deep shock and became like a statue. At this moment, the doctor felt the presence of God. It seems that this snake was like a punishment from God to the doctor due to his being too arrogant. He's thinking like that. Soon he came to the realization that he is a mere human and he should not boast. At this realization of his true worth, the snake left the doctor and moved towards the mirror. As such, the doctor silently escaped and his life was saved. He ran out of the room. After the conclusion of the doctor's narrative, some interested listeners asked him some questions related to the story. That is the humor in the story, that you have to read it. Next class, we can move to the text. Okay, we can move on to the text and go in detail about the humor in this chapter. Okay, before that, you also have to go through the text and find out the humor in that. Okay,